Hi, this is Mandla Dube. You are watching Manawe Live.
Hi, I'm Arnold Vosloo, and you're definitely watching Manawe Live. I told you I was going to mess it up. Manawe.
Feels so good.
Oh my God, it feels so good.
Feels so good.
Oh my God, it feels so good. Feels so good when you treat me like no other, no other. Feels so good when you call me your lover, your lover. Feels so good, one lucky brother, lucky brother. It feels so good, oh yeah, it feels so good.
Thank you guys for having me. First of all, very excited for the film. I've gotten the opportunity to see it, and you guys were really great in it. Before I start, I usually like to start with like these fun questions at the top of the interviews. It's a very simple question. You can think about it in the meantime, and then at the end, you give me an answer. But the question is, what was your worst audition ever that you can think of? No, this is a very tough question. But you can answer me at the end.
Sure. I'll tell you right now. it's every audition where I don't get the job.
So how did you guys come across Silverton Siege? Can you guys please take me through the process of that?
Okay.
Anybody can go first.
Seniors first, I guess. So I, you know, the whole process, your agent calls you, they've got a brief, you've got to go on audition. And I actually auditioned initially for the character of Cornelius, the American character. And I went for a callback and I was like, I got this, man. You know, I just come off some American movie where I played a sheriff. So I was like, I've got this. And then I didn't get this. But Mandla called me and said, we'd like you to play the pilot. And I was like, I read that part and I really wanted the other one. But when I really got into it, I was very excited about what he was doing with that particular character, because I realized that it needed to be someone like me playing that character, a black person playing that character, to remind us that back then, apartheid wasn't just a black and white thing, you know what I mean? It wasn't like all the white people were for apartheid and all the black people were against it. There were a lot of people who were black who were part of it, and there were a lot of people who were white who were against it. And that's something that we've really got to remember right now in this country.
I came across Silverton Siege also like the usual way where your agent lets you know and you audition for it. I do know that someone else was casted for my part, and for some reason she couldn't do it anymore because of COVID.
Charlize was not available.
Dude, stop doing that to me. Thankfully I got to audition for it and do it. I think it's just a privilege. Like I don't think I deserve, you know, I didn't work hard to get the role, but I did get it and I'm so grateful. And the story is just, it's really enriched me as a person, not just the character, but the whole story, you know. Yeah, so my journey was quite generic, but unique, you know, because it's me.
But you gave a great performance.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So for me it was the same. My manager or my momager told me about the movie, but I had already started in the process of reading for it in I think 2018 or something. So I've had a lot of time with Rachel. I went to a few readings, I went to a few workshops. So I've seen the script really take shape. And then I went in for final audition, and the rest is history.
You played the character of Rachel with such great emotion, and I mean, Silverton Siege, as much as it's a historical film, it tackles a lot of racial dynamics. And like you were saying, Tumisho, it's not about black and white, who's on this side, who's on that side. There are a lot of people who find themselves in the gray areas and finding themselves conflicted and sometimes powerless. Your character Rachel is also going through a lot, and we see that in the film itself when dealing with the main character of Calvin. How did you approach that role, and even with being a person who's living with albinism, and it's something you've spoken about very much. How did that influence or inspire how you ended up portraying the character?
Sure, yes. I think there were like a lot of angles that I took with creating Rachel, because her story is unique, you know, and as much as I might be the same living with albinism, I definitely did not go through the same, you know, traumas or experiences as she did. So initially, you know, when we said, okay, she's going to be adopted by white parents, she's kind of passing, she's, you know, this is all for survival, she wants to access a life that she has been denied, you know, to some extent, I gotta admit that I judged her, you know, and I felt like, why would you do that? You know, I think it's so beautiful, I feel good in my skin, you know, I'm proud to be who I am, but then you have to go back and look at what made you that way, you know, what experiences did you have that have shaped me, Michelle, into the woman that I am today, and what if I never had those experiences? Where would I be today, and what choices would I have made, you know? So yeah, I feel like she was somebody who taught me a lot and made me understand just the complexity, once again, of blackness, and that, yeah, a lot of people are gonna see you in different ways, and what matters is what you think and see of yourself, and the work needs to be done inside first and foremost before you can really engage with the world in the correct way.
Amen, sister.
And with you, Elani, the film is like based, obviously, or inspired rather by true events. But there were some creative liberties that were taken by the director. One of them having to do with your character. Can you speak on that at least, and conversations you're having with Amanda regarding direction and like I said, creative liberties that were taken with regards to your character?
Yes. So yes, Christine is a fictional human representing very real people.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she brings an element into the story that, the same as Tumisho said earlier, that there were people on both sides that were fighting for both sides, you know, and she has a very unique connection and relationship with not only her own culture but other cultures.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason she was a very critical point of view to show, you know, an individual view of something that I think a lot of people can identify with at the time. But also, like, in preparation for this film, I got to speak with real women who were in the siege on the day at the real event, and just getting some context as to what women were allowed to do and not to do, and what was expected of a white young lady at the time. So I think she was definitely a trendsetter in a lot of ways for her time, but I hope that she can bring a perspective to people who might think that it was just like one-dimensional sides, as he said, and it was a lot more complex than that.
And then moving on to you, the senior of the trio. You've been in the industry for decades at this point. 10 years. Having been in the industry for so long, and also having had the opportunity to even go international, how would you say you've gotten to see the way in which we tell stories as South African evolve?
I think that's a great question. I think the evolution that I've seen over the years is we are now telling our own stories from our own perspective. So initially, you know, when I was even in the industry doing all these biopics and things like that, it was always someone from overseas had to come rescue us from ourselves and do something amazing for us and tell the story and then dictate who should be in the film, right? Someone else would have, an American would probably played her character, another American would have played her character, and the rest of us just get the small characters. Whereas what we're doing now, and this is a great opportunity that I think a company like Netflix should be commended for doing, where they've said, we're an international company and we'll put your stuff on an international platform, but we want you to do everything from here. I mean, this was 100% local. And it shows because there's nuance and there's care that's put into it, that in a way it's very difficult to just import, you understand? So when you look at this, it's very character driven, and every character is amazing in this film. And that's a privilege to be able to work on a film where every character is South African and they're really bringing it. It's not just, okay, I'm just trying to do this movie for an Oscar or because I'm in a Hollywood perjury and I just have to go to South Africa and do something and come back and maybe my career will come back. It's everyone cared, you know.
But we will take the Oscar.
No, thank you very much. I think I'm running out of time, so I'd just like to get one worst auditions ever.
You guys go.
Okay, so I think it's like one of my first auditions. And look, I got the part, it was so nice, right? But I think it was, I just wasn't expecting this. So I got in and it was very improv. So there was no script or anything, and they were like, okay, come, so there's a young girl who's fine, I do it, oh great. Let's get another actor to come in and you know, improv with you. Okay, cool. Let's kiss. And I was like,
I wasn't expecting this.
so it was super awkward. But you know, we commit, theater kid, gotta go, you know, and it worked out in the end. But it was definitely like, I got into the car afterwards and I was like, what just happened? That was like my first on-screen kiss as well. But I got the part, so.
Dude, this is so crazy because my worst experience yet was also I had an audition and the scene was like there's a kiss in the beginning, but then the actual scene, and I was like it's an audition, I'm just gonna do the scene part. And there was another actor and also like in the moment, and they were like cool and kiss, and then in the end we ended up just kissing.
Oh,
they're like
gosh.
this old man there. It was so dodgy and I'm so embarrassed about it. And now I would have done it like just stood up for myself. But at the time you feel so flustered.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, okay, well.
You're young, so I really want to talk to young actors about these things.
Yeah, don't do things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
You don't.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of offended no one's ever asked me. Like, kiss. Like, I can't, you know.
Do you have any worst auditions except for the ones you didn't get?
Nah, not really. I think just not being prepared is usually an audition that sucks.
Sure.
Because you just get there and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing and why I'm here. And then you get caught up in yourself and you're tripping over your self-conscious insecurities. So yeah, what I learned was always go to an audition prepared.
An actor prepares.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thanks.